Hello and welcome. My name is Trinice Bryant, representing the Miami Workers Center. I am a proud member of the Florida Housing Justice Coalition. Today, we are demanding, as we have many times since the start of the pandemic, that Governor Ron DeSantis extend the eviction and foreclosure moratorium set to expire July 1st by 90 days and provide direct financial rent mortgage relief to all Floridians struggling to keep their homes. No one should lose their home due to COVID-19. Long before the COVID-19 pandemic, families in Florida have struggled to afford rent. With COVID-19 cases rising, layoffs rampant across the industries, a broken unemployment system, and a minimum public safety net, the housing affordability crisis has become even more acute. Due to the public pressure, the governor has twice now extended the statewide eviction and foreclosure moratorium. Yet, families' fates are again left in the balance as a moratorium is set to expire in less than a week on July 1st. We need long-term solutions to stop COVID displacement, to keep people in their homes, and to provide rent and mortgage relief to those impacted by this crisis. We need Governor DeSantis to step up to provide rent relief for tenants, relief for mortgage holders and working class landlords, and extend the state's eviction and foreclosure moratorium by at least 90 days. We have with us today tenants, landlords, elected officials, and housing advocates. First, I would like to introduce to you Shalicia Mosley, a Broward tenant.
Good morning. As she indicated, my name is Shalicia Mosley. I am a homeowner in Broward County. And prior to this pandemic, I'd never been late on my mortgage, never missed a mortgage payment. But due to my job reducing hours and then furloughing us, I've missed payments. I live in a gated community which has a homeowners association. So not only have I missed payments, I've fallen behind on my HOA. I'm protected by my mortgage at this point, but not by my HOA, which can foreclose on my property as well.
Acuna is a Miami local landlord.
Yes. My name is Akua Scott. I too have been impacted by the pandemic. It has been very difficult to me because the tenants in my home are there all day. Their utilities are being used all day. One tenant has been furloughed. Consequently, their portion of the rent cannot be paid. So it has been difficult for me, and I'm seeking not only the 90-day moratorium, but I'm also trying to find out if there's any financial relief for me, seeing how I'm the one who will be, and I am right now, I am paying all of the bills, the increases, all of that, and it's difficult. It's difficult, and whatever can be done, we need it done. Not only the moratorium, but also financial relief.
Albert Henderson.
Good morning. Mi nombre es Alba Hernández. Yo quiero referirme al respecto de lo que está pasando con esta pandemia, a favor de muchas personas que en este momento no tienen dinero para pagarse sus rentas, y porque es una situación de que jamás nadie esperaba con este COVID-19, que ha sido pues una fatalidad muy grande para muchas personas que perdieron, aparte que perdieron muchas familias, miembros de sus
Perdón,
familias.
Alba, perdona que te interrumpa. Es que la intérprete tiene que interpretar, entonces tienes que hacer una breve pausa para que después ella pueda interpretar lo que estás diciendo. ¿Ok?
Okay,
Entonces,
sorry.
María Angélica, ¿necesitas que ella vaya a repetir?
Es perfecto, puedo interpretar hasta este punto. Si ella quisiera, puede interpretar hasta el final.
Ok, perfecto.
Gracias. Puede ella hablar
Ajá.
hasta el final. Voy a interpretar lo que acaba de decir y usted puede continuar hasta el final. Gracias. Good afternoon. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Alba Hernandez. I want to talk about what is happening with this pandemic, and I want to speak in behalf of the many people who cannot pay rent because of this unexpected situation. COVID-19 has been a tragedy where many people have lost not only family members. Continúe. Gracias.
Yo quisiera pedirle al buen corazón de todas estas personas, de estos señores políticos de esta ciudad de Miami, del condado Dade, de que por favor, empezando por el gobernador señor Ron DeSantis, de que hiciera un fondo para poder ayudar a pagar a muchas personas sus rentas por la situación en que estamos pasando muchas personas. Hay unos parques de trailers que están en la pequeña Haití, en donde hay muchas mujeres con niños que están pasando esta gran necesidad y no tienen cómo pagar su renta. No solamente ellos, hay muchas personas que en realidad que están necesitando de una ayuda humanitaria. Y yo apelo al buen corazón de este señor y a muchos políticos, a estos alcaldes que pues han tratado de ayudar bastante, pero que por favor que también se acuerden de los parques de trailers.
Gracias. So I want to speak to the good hearts of the politicians of Miami-Dade, starting with Mr. Ron DeSantis, to please create a fund to help people pay rent because they're going through a very hard situation. There are trailer parks in places like Little Haiti, where there is many women with little kids and they have a hard time and can't pay rent. There are many people who are in this situation, and we need humanitarian help. I want to speak to the hearts of the politicians and the mayors who have been trying to help. We need help, please, and please don't forget about the trailer parks.
Yo estaba viendo el otro día en las noticias donde el comisionado de nombre Esteban Bobo, que él vetó la ley de aquí del condado de la Florida para no ayudar a estas personas porque dijo que no habían necesidad, que no tenían ellos necesidad. ¿Cómo no? Habemos muchas personas que tenemos necesidad, que tal vez no la tenga, es diferente de él, que gana un sueldo muy grande, a una persona que lo que vive es de un salario mínimo, mujeres limpiando casas para poder sobrevivir, batallando, botando basura y todo eso. Hay que ver la parte y poner la parte humana de todo ser humano. Y yo de verdad y con todo mi corazón, yo le pido al señor Ron DeSantis que se ponga un poquito la mano en su conciencia y que analice la situación de todo el mundo, porque no todos tienen la gracia de haber nacido en cuna de oro. Y eso de verdad da mucha tristeza. Que personas que pueden ayudar a las personas más necesitadas no lo hagan por egoísmo. No hay que ser egoísta en este tiempo, en esta pandemia tan grande que nadie pidió y que nadie jamás pensó en que teníamos que sobrevivir a una cosa tan más cruel como jamás se había visto en el mundo entero. Y durante mis 68 años jamás pensé yo en algo así tan cruel y tan duro para todos los seres humanos del mundo entero.
Gracias. The other day I was watching the news and I heard Commissioner Esteban Bobo, who oversees the law in the city, in the county here in Florida. And he said that he was not going to help people because people didn't need help. And how could he say that people do not need help? Yes, we need help. Maybe he doesn't help because he has a good amount of money. But what about the people who work for minimum wage? What about the women who clean houses, the people who clean trash? There needs to be a humanitarian side to this. They need to look at the human side of things. So I want to ask with all my heart to Mr. Ron DeSantis to please examine his conscience, because not all of us are born with the privilege that he was of being born with a silver spoon. People need help more than ever. This saddens me very much. We need help because the grief that this pandemic has brought and the hardships is something that no one ever asked for or could imagine. We never thought that we would have to survive this. On my 60 years of life, I never imagined the cruelty and the harsh conditions that the human kind would be facing throughout the world right now.
Les agradezco mucho su buena intención y su ayuda para comunicar por nosotros este pedimento que estamos haciendo a la humanidad, a todos aquellos que pueden aportar un poquito, que Dios se los va a agradecer porque Dios es muy grande y que Él reconoce la labor de todo ser humano y de aquellas personas que tienen un buen corazón. Muchísimas gracias. Les agradezco su atención y por favor, pidámosle todos a Dios en unión a todos, que todo esto acabe. Muchas gracias.
Entonces, les doy gracias. Excuse me. So I thank you all for listening. I ask you all, whoever can help, to support. I thank all of you who can help to communicate this petition that we're making, and we're asking all of you, all of humanity, to help in whatever way they can. Please let us all unite in prayer to God, because He is great and He will recognize the humanity in all beings and the humanity in the good-hearted ones who are going to help. Thank you for listening, and let us pray to God that this will come to an end.
We will now have Veronica Lucha, a resident from Orlando.
Verónica, perdona que no te podemos escuchar. No sé por qué, pero no te podemos escuchar. Todavía no. Tal vez el micrófono, si puedes utilizar el micrófono que estabas utilizando antes. Puedes desenchufar los audífonos para ver si trabaja el micrófono del teléfono. Prueba eso. No, perdón. Ok, Verónica, muy lastimosamente vamos a tener que moverte a otra parte, a la parte de atrás de la rueda de prensa, mientras nosotros podemos averiguar qué fue lo que pasó con tu audio, ¿ok? Mientras tanto, voy a invitar a Trinice para que pueda invitar a la próxima persona para hablar.
While we work on our technical difficulties for Veronica, we will now have our state representative, Diana Hart of House District 61 in Tampa. She works tirelessly for her district, and also it's her birthday today.
Good morning. Thank you all so much for allowing me to have this conversation with you this morning. Affordable housing is critically important, and I know that people who are renters and homeowners are really having a very, very difficult time. So we're calling on our governor to give us that moratorium for an additional 90 days. But in addition to that, let's find the dollars necessary to help pay rent and mortgages for people who are unemployed. And if you're in my district, who many have not even gotten their first unemployment check yet. Neither have they gotten their $600 that they were told they would receive. So one of the things that I believe we can do here in my county has received a very large sum of money in the CARES Act. We're calling on all of our mayors, all of our county commissioners. Everybody's municipalities may be set up a little bit differently, but it's critically important that you all take those dollars and help us with our rental assistance programs, help us with our mortgage programs, because there is money there and we need you all to put it on the ground right now to help our constituents. But we're not allowing the governor to get off the hook. Governor, we need you to step up with this moratorium for the additional 90 days, and let's find the dollars necessary to help people stay in their homes. There's nothing worse than a foreclosure and losing the place that you fought so hard for, or your rental space, because you all know we already had a major housing crisis going on in the state of Florida before the pandemic. So imagine that multiplied by 10, and you know how desperate people are to remain in their homes. They have children. Every day in my county, we have over 7,000 kids sleeping on our streets. That's a homeless issue. Imagine what we're creating if people do not get an opportunity to get their rent paid or their mortgages paid. So we're calling on the governor. Governor, we know that you have the heart to ensure that people are not homeless and outdoors sleeping on the ground. So I expect that the governor will do what he can to ensure that we get this mortgage assistance, both for mortgages and for rental assistance. So I look forward to continuing this conversation with the governor's office and with other legislators around the state, because we've got to do something. We cannot leave our constituents out here without a lifeline. It's now time for all of us to step up and demand action from our governor. So I thank you all so much for allowing me an opportunity to speak with you this morning. I'm looking forward to the fight for you. So I look forward to helping you in any way that I can.
Thank you, State Rep Hart. Again, it's her birthday today. She took time out to be with us today on her birthday. So thank you again. We're now going to bring up our next speaker will be Martha Laura Zayas from Little Havana, a landlord.
I'm so sorry, Trinice. The next person is actually Mayor Bonilla, Vice Mayor Emily Bonilla. I really apologize to get that order mixed up. Thank you again, Representative Diane, and we'll be hearing again from you soon. So we're going to bring on Vice Mayor Emily Bonilla now.
Hello, and thank you for having me on here today. This is great what you're doing. We really need to get the message out about what's happening here in our communities. So here in Orange County, we've already been in a housing emergency, and I did all the research. It took us over a month to get all that data pulled together. This is data that we've been pulling also since 2017, 2018 with the previous mayor and board that we had. And really not much has been done in Orange County to solve our affordable housing crisis, which according to the data, we already were in a housing emergency. So what the COVID-19 has done on top of that is it's taken people out of their jobs, where now they're forced into unemployment. Many of them have not gotten their unemployment checks yet. There's no income coming in. And we're looking at a situation where they were living paycheck to paycheck, and now they can't pay the rent. And the apartments associations, they pulled a lot of data. A lot of people are paying their rent with their credit cards now. This situation is going to put people in a financial crisis for many, many years. And we really need to do something to make sure that they could pay their rent, that they don't get evicted from their homes, and they continue to have a roof over their heads. People shouldn't be choosing between putting a roof over their heads and eating or paying their medical bills. There is help out there. We have the funding that has come. I've worked with the National Association of Counties, and we pushed and we begged our federal legislators to give local governments money. And that's some of the money that our representative was just talking about. And Orange County got $243 million to help our communities. Unfortunately, a lot of that money, not exactly unfortunately, we do need our small businesses because we need those jobs for when people could go back to work. But there was $76 million given to small businesses, and $76 million were supposed to go to financial assistance for individuals to help pay their rent. But only about $30 million of that is actually going to individuals. So I like that she called on our local governments, because our local governments really need to do more. I'm pushing for more. I'm pushing for more money to go to the individuals in order to keep them in their homes. And I feel for our landlords. I tried to get a rent freeze, but that would only include buildings with 3 or more units. So our mom and pop landlords, they could continue helping the renters that they're helping, and also not be in a situation where when things get better, they're able to ask for a little bit more to help them get back on their feet if their renters could afford it. And I know that they're working with their renters, and I really appreciate that. But what we really need is the governor to extend that moratorium at least 90 days after the COVID-19 crisis ends, because we really need people to be able to stay in their homes, have that roof over their heads, feel secure, and let them get back on their feet.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Bonilla of Orange County. We're now going to have a local landlord, Martha Zayas.
Hey, Trinice, I really apologize. Marta's running a little bit late, so we can actually try Veronica again to see if her microphone is working. So are you okay with that? Can we do that?
Yes.
All right, so we're going to try Veronica again. Veronica, ¿puedes probar tu micrófono, por favor?
¿Ahorita se me escucha?
Ahora se escucha perfecto. Dame un segundito porque vamos a también invitar a la intérprete para que pueda compartir la pantalla contigo y así nosotros podemos hacer la interpretación consecutivamente. ¿Ok? Dame un segundito.
Ahorita soy backstage.
Sí, no, ahorita estás en la pantalla. Entonces, ahora es importante que hables con unos descansos para que después la intérprete pueda interpretar. ¿Ok? Bueno. Adelante.
Buenos días, autoridades que nos acompañan de la Florida, comunidad floridiana, prensa de nuestro estado y nuestra comunidad. Mi nombre es Verónica Lucha. Mi familia fue impactada directamente con esta pandemia. Mi esposo fue positivo a partir del 16 de marzo.
Hi, good morning to all of the authorities, to all of our Florida community and the press in our state. My name is Veronica Lucha, and my family has been directly impacted with this pandemic. My husband tested positive on March 13th.
A partir de este 16 de marzo, la vida nos empezó a cambiar porque primero teníamos que empezar con un aislamiento prácticamente completo. Fueron 12 días que mi esposo pasó con fiebre sin tener un diagnóstico confirmado. Simplemente nos decían, puede ser, regrese a la casa y siga tomando Tylenol. Durante estos 12 días empezó también a sumarse la parte emocional de el desgaste de ver a tu esposo o a tu familiar sufriendo, el desgaste económico que esto conlleva. Él era la mayor fuerza de ingresos económicos a la familia y por ende yo no podía trabajar porque tenía que estar en aislamiento.
So after March 16th, and from that date forward, our life started to change. First, we had to isolate completely. For 12 days, my husband suffered a fever without a confirmed diagnosis. They would say maybe he has it, go home and just take Tylenol for a whole 12 days. And the emotional part also started to take a toll. We were exhausted after seeing my husband suffer for so long. Also, the financial part weighed on us because my husband was working and he had to stop working because of isolation. And of course, financially, we couldn't afford to stay afloat.
Todo lo que esta enfermedad conlleva no solo es la parte física para el que la está sufriendo, sino que la parte emocional para la familia, la parte económica, obviamente. Y eso es lo que creo que a mi familia y a muchas familias floridanas que han sido afectadas por esta pandemia están empezando a sufrir las consecuencias de una declive que se viene de todo, especialmente en lo económico. Dentro de esta pandemia tuvimos una orden de eviction puesta por nuestros apartamentos el día 19 de marzo.
So with this illness, it doesn't only have a physical impact, but also an emotional impact for the family, and of course, a financial impact. My family, and I think all of the Florida families, are starting to suffer the consequences of this pandemic. There is a decline in all aspects, especially in the financial aspect. During this pandemic, we were served an eviction notice by my apartment complex in March 19th.
Y definitivamente eso era como la cereza del pastel. Enfermos, sin trabajos, con una nota de desalojo. ¿Cuántas familias en la Florida están pasando o han pasado esto que yo pasé ahora? Es por eso que este día venimos a no pedirle, sino que exigirle al gobernador DeSantis que haga un alto a los desalojos. Estamos a punto que esto se venza el próximo 2 de julio. Las familias floridanas no podemos con todo esto. Apenas estamos empezando a recuperarnos.
So with this eviction notice, it definitely was the cherry on top. And I'm wondering how many other Florida families are going through this. That's why today we are we are demanding Governor DeSantis to stop evictions now. The moratorium that will stop on July the 2nd. Florida families cannot put up with this. We're only beginning to recover.
No podemos ir como él hasta ahora lo ha hecho, mes con mes. Las familias, en mi caso, mi esposo prácticamente no trabajó 3 meses, lo que esto implica cómo se recupera una familia que no tiene ingresos por 3 meses. No podemos ir mes con mes. La moratoria debe ser extendida por lo menos hasta diciembre, cuando durante estos meses poco a poco podamos irnos recuperando y ir con un plan verdaderamente concreto para que las familias puedan ponerse al día con la renta, con la energía eléctrica, con los servicios de agua, teléfono, obviamente la comida. Estamos recurriendo a diferentes ayudas o auxilios que la misma comunidad está brindando.
So we cannot continue living month to month. In my case, my husband didn't work for 3 months, and I don't know how a family is able to recover from that after 3 months of not receiving this income. Um, we need for the moratorium to be extended until December at least, so that little by little families can start to recover, and that there is a complete plan in place so that families can get up to speed with their rent, with paying their bills, their water, their food. And with food, of course, we have resorted to the help that the community itself has been offering.
El gobernador tiene que entender que al estar el sistema de desempleo en una situación que no es la más agradable para todos los floridanos, tampoco podemos pagar la renta si no tenemos nuestros ingresos por el trabajo, por el desempleo. No podemos ir mes con mes. Eso es lo que yo como familia floridana le pido, le exijo que extienda el moratorio hasta el 31 de diciembre. No podemos con toda esta carga. Esta carga económica se traspasa a la carga emocional, y la carga emocional te desgasta y tampoco te va a hacer tener un buen vivir también. Y si nos enfermamos de esta carga emocional que tenemos también, igual nos va a complicar de poder trabajar. Entonces, necesitamos un descanso también para podernos poner al día en nuestra parte económica. Es por eso que le pedimos, que le exigimos al gobernador DeSantis que extienda la moratoria hasta diciembre. Voy a hacer honor a mi apellido, que es Lucha, para poder pedir las veces que sea necesario que se extienda esta moratoria, no solo por mi familia, sino por todas las familias que están pasando en Florida, en sus diferentes condados, esta situación igual o peor de la que yo estoy pasando.
So as a Florida family member, I asked for the extension of the moratorium to happen until December the 31st. These financial struggles turn then into emotional struggles, and we feel exhausted. If we feel exhausted, we're going to get sick, and we cannot be sick because then we're not going to be able to work. We need a real break to get up to date with all of our payments. And we demand Mr. Ron DeSantis to extend the moratorium until December. And I'm going to honor my last name, which is Lucha, which means fight or struggle. And I'm going to continue fighting for the Florida families because they're not going not only through the same, but many are going through worse than I have.
Por último, pido a la prensa, que son los encargados de poder hacer llegar este mensaje al gobernador, que por favor lo hagan llegar de las diferentes maneras como nosotros, simples floridianos, lo queremos hacer. Pero ellos también tienen un papel importante de poder pedirle al gobernador que extienda las moratorias o las evicciones hasta diciembre. Gracias.
Lastly, I want to ask the press, who is in charge of taking this message to Governor DeSantis, to please have it really go to him, as we Floridians want. You also, as the press, have an important role to make this message clear to Ron DeSantis so that he extends the moratorium, the rent moratorium, until December. Thank you.
Thank you for that most powerful. Thank you for that powerful testimony. We now will have Rudy Navarro, a landlord, will be talking about his experience of helping his tenants during this COVID-19 pandemic.
Hi, my name is Rudy Navarra. I'm a landlord in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So I recently moved to to California, seeking job opportunities here, and then I decided to rent my property in Broward County, she recently, of course, I'm a landlord, so it's interesting to be on this side of the fence. Being a small time landlord, and just hearing from your tenants that they struggle. They were struggling already to meet rent and to pay utilities even before the pandemic. And once the pandemic hit, I could tell that actually they were falling behind on utilities and even on rent. And so trying to really be understanding with them and to work with them as best I can. At the same time, I'm breaking even every month in order to pay mortgage. So I want to be. I think I see tenants as being customers, and they're the most important equation, or they're the most important part of any equation as in a small business. And I think that the governor should provide rent and mortgage relief. And I can't even imagine if this becomes more systemic and mortgage holders begin to fall behind on their mortgages, what it would do for state incomes and for the economy. So I hope that the governor will step up and will provide that rent and mortgage relief, so tenants can be supported, and so mortgage holders can be as responsible actors as they can in this terrible situation that we find ourselves in. And I'm very inspired to hear a lot of these stories and voices that have spoken, and I'm very supportive of these efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now have Alana Gear from Community Justice Project.
Thank you, Trinice. As she said, my name is Alana Greer with Community Justice Project. I'm an attorney and have been working with the Florida Housing Justice Alliance and many of the folks on this call to research and to find what are the ways that our community can be supported in this moment. And it's abundantly clear that Governor DeSantis has the power to not only to take bold action, to make a clear path to extend the moratorium and protect renters from displacement, but should also be taking action to ensure rent relief and mortgage relief for both renters and homeowners. You've heard today from landlords and tenants, and it's clear that our community knows what we need. The resources are there, both from our state and federal governments, as well as at the local level. But we need action to put those resources to use to ensure that folks are not being displaced in the middle of a pandemic and a housing crisis at the same time. No one should have to worry about sheltering in place, whether or not they have a shelter, but that's the reality for far too many of us. Governor DeSantis, please act. We need more than a week or a last-minute call at the 11th hour. What we need is bold action for 90-day or longer eviction moratorium. We need clear action and making sure that the mortgage forbearances and mortgage relief and forgiveness that's coming from the banks is actually reaching homeowners and small landlords. And we need to make sure that relief continues to flow in order for us to be able to rebuild together. We've also seen, unfortunately, that despite the moratorium, which should have stopped all evictions related to non-payment related to COVID, that's simply not the case across Florida. Over 2,670 evictions have been filed during the moratorium. this overwhelming crisis is continuing to move through it in some counties, to move through courts. And although people may not be removed in all counties, people are losing their cases right now, and that's unacceptable. We need uniform enforcement of the existing moratorium, and we need that to be extended.
Thank you, Alana, for that. We will now open it up to questions and answers. If you do have a question or want to answer, please direct your question to a Pacific speaker.
Checking the comments to see if there are any questions. We have a question from, or not really a question, but a comment from Misha saying we need an exclusive legislation that is mindful of all parties, renters, landlords, lenders. What do we think about that?
So we have a question also in the chat. Is asked to Alana, what can we do around, I guess, what you had spoke about? They're asking, what can we do as people of the community? What do we want the community to do?
So I think the simplest first step is to call Governor DeSantis. The number is right here on the screen, and ask him to extend that eviction moratorium and ensure that both, and again, remember that moratorium covers both evictions and foreclosures, and we want to make sure that that all our community is protected right now. And so call and ask for that extension right away. Your state and local leaders, as well as the federal government, can also act in this moment. And so we're asking, we had some wonderful elected officials on this call who are doing what they can to push that. And if your elected official isn't pushing as hard as the folks we had on this call, ask them to act, ask them to move their local policy to move rent relief in a way that actually keeps people housed, and it isn't just burning through in a way that a few weeks later folks are out again. We can also be asking our courts and our sheriffs to really stand up in this moment and do what's necessary to enforce the eviction moratorium and ensure that no evictions happen during this emergency.
All right, we just got a question from the press from Molly Durig saying, hi, this is Molly Durig with Spectrum News 13 for Vice Mayor Bonilla. You mentioned that only about $30 million of the $75 million that was supposed to be allotted to individuals has actually been allocated there. Do you know where the rest of the money has gone? And we're gonna see if if Vice Mayor Bonilla can come back on. She's not on at the moment, but does anybody on this panel have any insight on that? Nope. Okay. All right. And let's see here. We're actively contacting Mayor Bonilla to see if they can come back, if she can come back and let us know a little bit about that. In the meantime, what can maybe the panelists explain a little bit about rent relief? What does that mean? What does rent relief and mortgage relief mean? Like, just a little bit about that so that folks know.
Sure. So we know the federal government has already allocated tens of millions of dollars to Florida counties, cities, and the state for this purpose, to keep people housed. Rent relief can look like what we've seen and what it has looked like, unfortunately, is funds that are opening up and are fully subscribed within hours, websites shutting down. And we can do better than that. In other states like Pennsylvania and multiple other places across the country, what we've seen is rent relief be leveraged for longer term support. So it might look like something like a landlord receiving a payment on behalf of the tenant, but agreeing to forgive parts of the past due rent. or receiving payment from a public fund, but agreeing to a payment plan or to a longer term no eviction agreement going forward in a way that actually resolves the situation. And right now we know the amount of money that's available, while it seems like big numbers, is dwarfed by the need. And so we really need to find ways to make sure this money is solving our problems and getting landlords and tenants to the table in a way that keeps people housed.
Okay, and Trinice, go ahead.
Thank you for that, Alana. So to the panel member, when funds are released, how do we as citizens ensure proper allocations of funds? And this is coming from Misha Hill.
Is that for me or is somebody else?
It is for you, I guess. If Adrian could bring on the other folks, I think, like, if there's any other representatives or mayors that is still on the line that we could just bring into the screen.
We're having some technical issues bringing them back, so just bear with us for just a moment. But if either of you two want to handle this question for now.
I think what we've seen is when we have community at the table to help shape these plans, they work much better, right? And so we're targeting them at where the most need is, and making sure that it's going to communities who are most impacted, and those folks aren't left out, particularly Black communities and immigrant communities, and Black immigrant communities. And so we need to make sure that these funds are being released and used in a way that actually helps solve this problem and is not just a Band-Aid.
We have another question in the chat from Nisi. How is it that all those evictions can be placed into the courts with the moratorium in place?
So there's two things going on. One, the biggest problem is courts have not uniformly enforced the moratorium. And so each court, each county is doing things pretty differently and deciding how to do things differently. Our reading of the state moratorium is very clear. There is no basis in law for landlords who are flouting it to be going to court on these kind of eviction cases. But there isn't an automated way to stop that in most counties. Some counties have stopped filings. And especially because we now have an e-filing system, it's possible to file a lawsuit for any reason and wait till it gets a hearing. And so unfortunately, some counties are actually moving forward on that. And what's most concerning is that because our Florida eviction law has so few protections for tenants and has a requirement for most renters that if you are facing a non-payment eviction and you can't pay everything that you're alleged to owe, or you don't have a lawyer to help you navigate and get the right kind of request for a hearing in, most people will never see a judge in those cases. So it's really important that that timeline isn't getting started before things open back up and people are able to have their day in court and able to access those resources.
Thank you so much, Alana. Really appreciate it. We actually have Vice Mayor Emily Bonilla back here, so I'm going to hop off. And then Vice Mayor, there was a question that came out, and I'm going to display it on the screen here. Okay, but it says, hi, this is Molly Dury with Spectrum News 13. For Vice Mayor Bonilla, you mentioned that only about 30 million of the 75 million that was supposed to be attributed to individuals has actually been allocated there. Do you know where the rest of the money has gone? Thank you. Go ahead and add you to the stream so you can go ahead and answer that question.
Well, yes, the rest of the money is going to social services such as mental health services. I have to look at where the rest is going, but those are the services that's going to. And that hasn't really been fully decided either. So we're still looking at all the services and possible vendors that will apply for those funds.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that answer, Vice Mayor Emily Bonilla. Right now, I don't see any other questions for you, so I think I'm going to invite Trinice back on to go ahead and close us out.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you from the Florida Housing Justice Alliance. We want to say thank you to all the speakers, all the state reps, the mayor, of Orange County, and the landlords and the tenants. Thank you for sharing your story, supporting us. What I would like to ask is for folks to share this live. Share this live on your social media. There's a number that's going across the bottom of the screen that says Governor Ron DeSantis. Call this number, 850-488-7146. Extend the eviction moratorium. Please flood this number with the ask for him to extend the eviction moratorium to the end of the year, to December, to give folks time to be able to pay their rents or do whatever they need to do to stay in their home and stay sheltered, because we're now in hurricane season, and that's another pandemic that we may be in, and folks being put out on the streets is not cool. So thank you all and have a good day.